Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be going over the top 5 most broken legal cards of this format. Now I think it's very fun to see all these really good cards, and then maybe 2 years down the line you check out this video and you'll look at these cards and be like, these cards aren't even that good, because we'll have cards are even more broken or better, whatever term you like to use. But first off, we have Mecha Phantom Beast Draco Sack. Now this card, very versatile, and it's kind of unfortunate that the Mecha Phantom Beast cards aren't really that good when you compare it to how easy Draco Sack is abused in something like Elemental Dragons. Whereas the Mecha Phantom Beast, yeah, they can make Draco Sack, but the thing is, Elemental Dragons can pump it out much faster and much more consistent. But anyways, he's really good simply just because, you can use him as, offensive, you can use him as defensive plays. Like, he's just overall too good. And I love how you get 2 tokens. I wish you only got 1. I think it would be much more balanced if you got 1 token, simply because if you're using the token to tribute, the token, you're going to pop 1 card, it leaves him kind of open. He's basically at that point becomes a 2600 beater. But because you have 2 tokens, you can, pop a card. Even if you're going on the defensive side, you can just go pop 1 card. You still have 1 token. You usually can keep him alive if you can. Then you're just going to pop whatever card that poses a threat to you, or is a problematic card. And on top of that, being able to tribute himself actually makes him even better. Keep in mind, you don't always have to tribute those tokens. Even those tokens are really good, simply just because they are level 3. That means you can synchro with them. You can make cards that carry Bure, and then move cards to attack position and finish off the game. But being able to tribute himself is actually a really good effect, simply because the Destiny Hero Plasma, there's so many builds that run Destiny Hero Plasma. On the OCG, it did top, but there's one problem with making Destiny Hero Plasma, especially against E-Dragons. At first glance, I was like, oh, Plasma, that absolutely shuts them down, right? But they're going to just make Draco Sack, and you know what they're going to do? They're going to go Draco Sack, tribute Draco Sack, and Draco Sack's effect will actually go off the field, so then Plasma will no longer have the effect of, it skill drains your field, because Plasma will then be gone. But yeah, Plasma is basically like skill drain, so you can still activate cards that, go off the field like Draco Sack if he's tributing himself. Therefore, he won't be on the field. So another reason why Draco Sack is just way too good. Next up, another XYZ monster. This is number 11, Big Eye. Now, this card originally, when it came out, it wasn't seeing much play. It was not very expensive, but, now with the release of Elemental Dragons, that's really what makes this card, so viable. Obviously, Mermails could definitely utilize this card, but it wasn't that expensive. Before Mermails, before the Elemental Dragons came out. Pretty much, I saw a lot of people running machines simply to make this card, but this card is absolutely so good. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some other banned cards at the moment that have the similar effect of basically just stealing a monster, because these cards are banned because stealing monsters is too good, right? So we have Change of Heart. That you can only take control of it until the end phase, so that's the downside with that one. With Snatch Steal, you have target a phase up one because it's an equip. This card can be MSC'd, and on top of that, your opponent gets 1,000 life points, which is very, very small as far as the life point gain. If they gave me 5,000, that might be viable, but 1,000 is pretty mild, simply because majority of the time when you took the monster, it had over 1,000 attack anyways. Next up, Brain Control. Now this card was the card that kind of stayed in the game the longest. You pay 800 life points, you have to target a face-up monster, and again, it's only until the end phase. Whereas Big Eye, that is forever. You're going to steal that monster forever. Now, Big Eye does have that quote-unquote downside, right, that Big Eye cannot attack. I think it should be you can't enter battle phase, you can't use the monster's effect that you take until the, next standby phase or something like that as well, just simply because I think that it's just too good. The only other card that we have that can really steal monsters that's really easy to just throw out is something like Mind Control. Now, Mind Control, you usually use it for Synchro XYZ, which is still good, but that monster can't declare an attack or be tributed. With Big Eye, you can do whatever you want with that monster. That poor monster is going to probably, it's going to betray you, and it's going to, inflict lots of damage or have some awesome effect. Big Eye is just absolutely so devastating in the game. But next up, we have Blaster, the Dragon Ruler of Infernos. Now, although the Elemental Dragons really are just too good, but I really feel like Blaster is the card that really sets this deck apart and makes it even more broken, simply because cards like Vandy's Emptiness and Jowgen, something like Fossil Dyna, if you got some backer to back up the Fossil Dyna, fantastic card. But the problem is Blaster is still a card. You can Gold Sark for Blaster, or you Gold Sark for Blaster, add the baby, or do whatever you need to do, and then simply just next turn get rid of that problematic card, because remember, when you search for a card that is activating the effect of Blaster, so you can't activate the effect of Blaster again to pop a card after you've already got the search out. But that effect is just so good simply because any problematic card like Ophion, Vandy's Emptiness, Judgement, like I mentioned earlier, any problematic card, Imperial Iron Wall, any problematic card that you just need to pop real quick, he does the job, and on top of that, you know, he's got good attack too. He's actually the strongest one, and I really feel like he is probably the best one out of all of the elemental dragons in general. But yeah, he just gets rid of any problematic card that normally would shut down elemental dragons. He just goes, oh, blaster, see you guys later. So he's just really good. Next up, Super Rejuvenation. Now, I was looking for another banned card that had, you know, slightly a similar effect to Super Rejuvenation, but there really isn't. The only card I can really come up with to net like really quick advantage in the game, and only some decks could really utilize this card. Card of Safe Return was a card. This card obviously, you know, it's continuous. You know, you MST it, and on top of that, you know, some decks simply just didn't have the ability to go from the graveyard, you know, turn 1. Now this card would be awesome in plants if this card ever came back, but Super Rejuvenation, it's just one of the cards where it nets so much advantage, especially early on in the game, and Super Rejuvenation is a quick play, and that really makes it so much better because even if you have to, you know, discard cards in your hand because you simply have like 20 cards during the end phase, which can happen because this card is a quick play, so if you draw into another one during the end phase, you just activate it and you'll still get all those draws. Absolutely devastating in elemental dragons. Especially when it's activated first turn, they get to activate like 2 to 3 of them. 3 is really dirty. I've seen a lot of them, you know, just have 2 first turn, and it just becomes so much of a problem because even though they have to discard cards during the end phase, that's good for them. That's all basically pluses, essentially. It's like kind of like a plus 0.5 if you want to look at it that way. But yeah, still just overall way too good of a card. Now we have Spellbook of Judgment. Man, this card is just so good simply because it's obviously quick play, very good in the mirror match as well. But Spellbook of Judgment, so good. I mean, there's so many cards that search out this card anyways. I mean, do we really need this card at 3? I mean, I assume this card probably will be put down to 1 or maybe even banned. But the thing is, you have triple Spellbook of Magician, you have triple Spellbook of Secrets, you have you can usually people running 2 Spellbook of the Master to search out the secrets, just abuse cards and just keep on cycling cards. And the thing is, you don't even need to activate Spellbook cards to just use the effect of Spellbook where you get to add all the cards during the end phase. And on top of that, if adding the cards wasn't enough, you can special summon another monster, and it's usually like was it Justice of Prophecy or Jowgen or Kaiku. You get even more advantage because, you know, adding all those cards wasn't enough. This card is absolutely devastating. And I looked at this card and I was like, come on, why is Earth at 2? Why? Like, we have Spellbook of Judgment at 3, and they're like, no, Earth, that card needs to be at 2. Like, come on. And on top of, like, you know, this card being so good, the card that absolutely hurts Spellbooks, Thunder King. Why was this card put at 2? I guess it's just to help Spellbooks be even better, but I really feel like Spellbooks and E-Dragons will probably get the boot in next format. They'll probably get hurt pretty bad. But there's 2 cards that I want to add in addition to this video because I know it's the top 5, but you know, I want to know what you guys have to say about cards that you think are like the most broken cards of the format. I still find these 2 cards that we're going to talk about real quick to be, you know, really broken too. First off, Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Now this card is absolutely devastating if you get to activate it against a Spellbook player. At that point, it's like game. You know, Mermals can really utilize this card as well as Elemental Dragons. It's basically you just make a big eye, and then you got Eradicator. What's up, guys? And then Eradicator absolutely destroys Spellbook. So I like it in that aspect, but this card is absolutely like. I know that you know, Elemental Dragons are very good, and I know Spellbooks are very good, but there's no Eradicator Epidemic Virus that really destroys like the top tier decks. Like, I'm trying to think of an excellent example. Like, I'm trying to say, basically, if E-Dragons play against Spellbooks, what do Spellbooks have that absolutely just, like, one card that just destroys E-Dragons? I mean, you could argue Jowgen, but the thing is, Eradicator, like, makes it so you can't even play. At least with, when Jowgen's out on the field, the Elemental Dragon player can still at least, you know, summon a monster and attempt to attack over. Hope they don't have a Spellbook of Fate or anything to protect Jowgen with. But Eradicator, once that goes off, it's just like game, and they can't do anything. And it's really discouraging for, you know, a Spellbook player to run into an Eradicator and try to play out of it, because it doesn't happen. It really doesn't. And it kind of hurts, you know, to watch, you know, top tables duel, and once Eradicator goes off, it's game over, pretty much. And lastly, Evil Swarm Ophion. Now, this card was supposed to hurt the Elemental Dragons and supposed to hurt the Spellbooks to where they couldn't play, but do we see players not playing E-Dragons and Spellbooks simply because of Ophion? Not really, because, like I said, Blaster absolutely destroys the game. It's just like, okay, Ophion, okay, I'll pop Ophion. So, Blaster is just like a simple out. But I still feel like this card is really good against, you know, other decks. Like, we have that new Blue Eye Structure deck come out. What is that Blue Eye Structure deck going to do against Evil Swarm Ophion? It's like, no, you just have 0 plays. You get out your maiden, I'm going to attack your maiden. You can't spot summon that Blue Eyes. Too bad. It's just, it's so good. I hate how Evil Swarm plays because, you know, obviously, you know, Ophion has that great effect. But on top of having that awesome effect, it adds a card so it's not affected by Spell and Trap. Because, obviously, Ophion's out, you're like, okay, well, I can't get up my big monsters, I'm going to set up my spell and traps. But he has a get out of jail free card simply by just going, oh, nope, I'm not affected by any spell and trap cards. Because, you know, your monsters probably won't be able to get over Ophion simply because he has 25-50. That extra 50 is so annoying to deal with sometimes. There's a few games where I was watching some Six Samurai players, they get at Xian and then Ophion's like, oh, what's up? I'm Ophion, I'm going to over you by 50. It's just hilarious to see 600 players cry against this card. But that 50 attack, it does make a huge difference. But he does have that downside with that 1650 defense. But I really don't like this card simply because it plays like, oh, I get out my monsters, now you can't play, you can't play, you can't do anything. It's just, I hate that aspect of the game. But those are the two cards that I really wanted just to add in because I want to know what you guys have to say about, you know, other broken cards in the game. So there's my top 5 and my other 2 additional cards. But let me know what you guys have to say. Let me know what cards you find really broken, perhaps that I did not mention in the comment section below. And then maybe you know, a year or 2 down the line, we'll look at this video and we'll be like, Ophion, Elemental Dragons, Big Eye, these cards aren't even good compared to the newer cards it will have in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're absolutely devastating, even more broken in the game. But anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.